All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Counselor's Corner for another open court discussion. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Oh,
All right. Tonight, Monday, February 23rd, we will be covering the topic Deadline to Deadline, where we will be discussing timelines, the ones we set, the ones others set for us, and how they can impact our mental health, whether it's career milestones, relationship goals, or personal achievements. Timelines can drive us forward or stress us out. Let's dive into finding balance and breaking free from the pressure. What's one timeline that's weighing on your mind? We'll talk about that and answer that question shortly. Think about that and get back to us. Please like and share our video, and don't forget to share with someone who is struggling through timelines. To please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. I think 1,041 subs, 59 away from 1.1K. And we are not stressing over numbers, just keeping you informed of the work we are putting in. So here we are, another Monday night. You know how it is. Weekend go by fast. Monday night, we had the luxury of getting a little snow, so had a virtual day today. So I got no complaints on my end, but sometimes that's just uh, maybe the calm before the storm, because any extra time that kids are not in school, that just means they got stuff boiling in them and can't wait to get an audience. And that audience, the biggest stage, is at school, and they can't wait for that. So that's where I'm at. This is an interesting subject matter because I'm sure as we all get older, you feel more pressure as far as timelines when it comes to relationships, again, career and personal achievements. So it'll be something interested in sharing some, personal insight. And like I said in my promo, I'm sure the Big Bad Wolf got some timelines. I don't know how egregious they are, but he has it. So what's going on with you, Herb?
man, I think I'm gonna have to rethink. Speaking of timelines, how I do my therapy sessions because I'm finding, and of course it's still back in the winter. A lot of people don't want to travel, so I think I'm gonna have to indulge in a little bit more self care with my therapy sessions, and that's okay. I'm kind of cool with that. It's always better to have somebody, but if that's not the will of the way or the way of the will, then so be it. But other than that, man, I'm kind of waiting for all this weather to blow over so I can get this house in order. Because I'm sure everybody, including myself, which is a time, I'm tired of seeing this place looking like this. Want to get all this stuff stripped off, and I can't do it because of the toxic fumes or permeate this house, and I can't have that. So that's one of the deadlines I have. And I'll give some pointers to people as to how I cope with not being able to meet my own deadlines. Because the book should have long been out, but that's another deadline too that we'll get to further on in the show. But yeah, it is what it is. I can't make it what it ain't. Well, actually, I could make it what it ain't, but I ain't gonna make it about what it is. So, that's that.
All right, so to go back to that question, what's timeline that's weighing on your mind? For me, it's I've been mentioning this lately. It's winding down or trying to figure out when do I walk away, the end of my career in education, and it's weighing on me because as time goes on, it's not the same anymore. It's just it's not. It's just the way things are. the way that parents handle their children, the lack of accountability, the disrespectful nature that happens in school is just like uh I can't even say it's a young man or a young woman game because it's not, because they're not equipped to handle this. They just unfortunately came in at the wrong time. uh when I first started out, education was fun. I used to have a ball. Couldn't wait to never had a problem being at work. And don't get me wrong, not that I do now. It's not so much the kids, it's some of the damn adults. And so you start thinking about that and it weighs on you, and you say to yourself, I always set a timeline and said, no matter what, I will not be 60 in nobody's office in nobody's school. Now, granted, there are some counselors in their 60s. I'd had some that I worked with that were not worked with in the same building, but just in the school district, that was in their damn near mid 70s and had worked for like 50 years. And I'm like, damn, uh, that's a long time. And, but I always said, I'm not going to do that. I just don't see it because, again, as you get older, and with this young generation, the respect level kind of diminish, uh, and they look at you as the old man, the old head, and like what you gonna do, and they feel like they can challenge you more, and some of them, and it doesn't happen to me, but I've seen other people that these students, they don't mind cussing you out or carry on, because then they go say, what her old ass gonna do?
Yeah.
And these could be, well, people that put in, again, 30, 40 years, and they don't need to be disrespected like that. And when I talk to kids, I try to say that could be your grandmother, that could be your grandfather, that could be your uncle, your aunt, but their mindset is, well, it's not, and I don't like them because of this or that. And sometimes as you get older, you're more regiment and stuck in your ways, which may not work for this younger generation. You kind of have to try to adapt to some of their ways. But some people like, oh, I ain't adapting to no kids. They got to come to my level and respect me. Well, sometimes it just don't work like that, unless you just want to, spend each day going through a warpath. And I'm not about to have a power struggle over and over. So I know for myself, I keep saying, and if it can happen before then, and which I prefer it would before 60, uh, I will gladly walk out with a smile and say to myself, with a pat on my back, job well done, David. Job well done. So that's one of the things that's pressing or weighing on me, is when to walk away. But I know if I'm thinking about it, that something's about to, and if it's weighing heavily on my mind, something will be jumping off sooner than later.
Yeah, man. It's that aspect of teaching. Um, I don't think a lot of people really realize how tough it is, particularly when you're done. Like you're done. You at the point you just want, because it reminds me of a situation about 20 some odd years ago where I was working in a restaurant. I was working overnight, and a manager came in and she was just like, you know what? I'm done. I quit. Dropped the keys in the pass through where we put the food that came from the kitchen, and just walked out. Me and the cook, we stood there and looked at each other like, did we just see this? Did we just see a manager just quit and just bounce? So it's kind of tough, man. Especially when the parents don't it reminds me of the debate, if you will, about about a mother's work. Is it ever really truly done in the household? And a lot of teachers come across that. I was just messaging Daphne. She's like, this homework. I'm like, homework, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. It was like 5 o'clock. I'm like, you should be done. But that day is literally never done. You correct the papers, might have to deal with a kid attitude that just spills over, and you got to take that home with you. So they can never really leave that there at work. Like once I leave work, it doesn't exist. Teachers really aren't afforded that luxury until um the end of the year. You get 2 months where you actually get to decompress. You get to do things. You get to go out, and you don't have to wake up and worry about, okay, is this person going to be there today? Am I going to have to deal with their shenanigans? Am I going to have to deal with their parents' shenanigans? Am I going to have to deal with sending this kid to the principal? All that stuff, man. It's never was like that before, and now it is almost a daily occurrence, and I've seen it. So I the teachers nowadays, they are, you know, they got a lot to contend with. They got a whole lot to contend with.
So Greg made a few comments. He said adults as in staff or the parents, both
Yeah,
staff and parents, both adults. Because kids only know so much. So if you if you're an adult or a staff member that's confident in what you do and you got expertise and knowledge, then you know how to work it with the kids. So they only have so much leverage with you. But it's the adults and the parents that, again, I remember from a wise supervisor that told me a long time ago. He said most bad actions by kids is usually based on a poor decision by an adult, and I wholeheartedly agree with it in some way or some form. And I could give you example of that if need be. But I'm going to look at Greg's other comments. That David, you could be the pillar that prevents kids from doing that stuff. I am a pillar that prevents them from doing that stuff when it's eyeball supervision. But mind you, uh, if I'm not in the classrooms. I'm not on the third floor all the time. So a lot of times that stuff happens in the classroom or during transition time, and I only could be so many places. And again, kids only have respect for a certain amount of people in the building, and unfortunately, the strength is in the numbers in their favor. So you only could do so much. She says someone close to me is in education. Yeah. Well, again, like I said, at a school with 1,300 middle schoolers, uh, 3 floors, uh, 3 towers, it's a lot of ground to cover. And Greg said, and staff like you are what makes all the difference between the job being successful or being a disaster. Yeah, and we need to have seasoned veteran staff to have a nice balance with younger staff. But sometimes the older staff, after a while, they say, I got to get out. So then you have primarily younger staff staying in and inexperienced. So then you have corruption. But we about to bring the doc in here. What's going on, Doc?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we
yes,
hear
we
you.
can.
I'm good. I'm laying in my sauna bag. That's why my camera's not on.
Okay.
Hey,
So
that's okay.
So what's going on with you? Oh, guess she didn't drown in that sauna bag.
Yeah, just to follow up with what you were saying, Greg. It's almost, I liken it to a sports team, to where the ultimate goal for teachers is to get the students on to the next grade with some level of competency. And what you have often is you have You have a lack of people there who can bridge the gap. So you got people coming in who are who are young in terms of being teachers, and teachers who are on their way out, and there's nobody there to give the baton to that understands what the assignment is. So if you have somebody, if that gap isn't bridged, then you're gonna have a breakdown, and you're gonna have people burning out more because those coping mechanisms aren't taught. And no matter what job you go to, there's somebody there that can always tell you and instruct you and give you pointers on how to deal with the difficulties. The same way a grandparent would be there for the child to say, "Hey, look, I see you going through your terrible twos. Try this, try this, try this." You say, "You know, ma, you know, dad, that worked." That doesn't exist in teaching anymore, and that's why you have a lot of burnout more. So comparatively to when we were at that particular point in time. Yep.
Well, the thing of it is that they're supposed to have mentors.
Mhm.
I was a mentor for UB for like 4 or 5 years in my content area as ENL/ESL. And they're supposed to have mentors to help them bridge that gap. Now, not many of the people do that because of whatever reason, but they are supposed, those first, second, and third year teachers are supposed to have mentors at least for 3 to 4 years. Unfortunately, not many school districts do that, but they do get dinged for not having a mentor. Um, and not many people talk about that many schools and school districts get fined or for not having a mentor, because that's the first thing they ask you um, when you try to go get your license or you get your professional teaching license. They ask you, did you have a mentor? That's one of the questions they ask. And when you say no, that person on the other end is usually laughing, because guess what, they've just made money for the state.
All through fines. Okay.
Yeah, so basically you're not, if you're not structured to give that mentorship through like UB or through your school district, like there's a fine to be had for that school district. I didn't realize that when that lady started laughing at me. She was like, "Were you mentored?" And I was like, no. I said, "Thank God I had experience through motherhood and organization and organizing my household, because they just threw me in the classroom and said, 'Here, go for what you know.'" There's no there's no mentoring. I didn't get any mentoring, so I thought it was important for me to get my certificate in mentoring teachers. But of course, with our administration that we have now that's in office, they cut all of that. So they're planning on cutting out education, the education department, or gutting it, if you will. So it's a lot of things that are going to happen in the field, or that is happening in the field of education.
Yeah, and I can remember starting off too as a counselor. I started off at a high school, and I had just came from. Well, I had worked 1 year as elementary, but I had worked like 10 years as an advisor at Bryan and Stratton. So I sort of knew like a little scheduling, but it was totally different than high school. So maybe day one I walked in, they kind of, um, you know, met people and kind of here's the schedule. It's schedule change day, and I was kind of told I had to assist with schedule changes, and I'm looking at the schedule like, what the hell? Like, can I shadow somebody? Could I watch somebody do? And it was just time to roll, and you just had to get in where you fit in, and you had to learn by trial and error. And there was no, again, like Daphne said, it was supposed to have been some like mentoring. We had a lot of first year counselor meetings and stuff like that, but that was just theory, just going to meetings and listen to people talk. But you definitely don't get that experience by hands on, by being there and kind of shadowing somebody and watching them do it, and then you do it yourself. Nah, you had to sink or swim.
It's like that now for me as a new administrator. I'm like, okay, I got to tap into my teacher skill set and navigate this new administration side of it. and understanding um how to navigate and what what laws like the Buffalo Public Schools student handbook, code of conduct student handbook. I write somebody up, I got to refer to that conduct book, that
Hmm.
student conduct book, to figure out what the heck is going on and what level, and that determines what time or how long they get suspended for or what to do. Call the parent, put it in Infinite Campus. Okay, this student did this, they get a week. Like what? Like what is going on here? One of my students was caught smoking weed in the bathroom. She only got a week. I'm like, she should have been formal. She has an illegal substance on federal school grounds. That's
Mm.
Now that's
that.
kind of minor these days. Back in the days, they would be expelled years ago, but now it's just kind of you
Well,
have
she
3 to 5 days.
got 5 days, but it's still you're in seventh or eighth grade. You're still a minor. How did you get access to this?
Right.
Oh, they got
And then
access.
you're trying to smoke it on federal school grounds. Like, duh, how dumb can you be? And you're underage. So here's my thing. The student is held accountable, but what about the accountability for the parent? Because she just didn't get it from nowhere. Somebody at home is probably doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and nothing really happens. I mean, they vape all day long, smoke weed. I'm at a middle school as well, and if they get caught, yeah, they may get 3 to 5 days. Then they come back, and after a while, they doing it again. It's usually the same offenders.
So
Yeah,
rehab doesn't even do so rehab does it's essentially a waste of time to even send them in that direction then, isn't it?
well, they got to be willing to want to go. It's not like they have mandatory. Uh, they used to say years ago they would have to have go to mandatory drug and alcohol like counseling, but I think that
Yeah, it's
they did away with that probably because of the
well,
budget and everything.
it's called in Buffalo. It's called Kids Escaping Drugs. So my son thought he was grown, going to a private school, and they had their little party because the parents was away on their European vacation. So my son thought, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go." Da 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 da. Now keep in mind, the school sent an email, but they didn't know the location of this little party everybody was going to. So my son thought it was hee hee ha funny, yeah, keep a secret, this, that, and the other and the third. Of course, there's alcohol, sex, drugs, probably everything else you can imagine underneath the sun. However, guess what? David went to school the next day talking about, I ate some bad eggs. Like, little boy, do you think I'm stupid? So the nurse calls me and she's like, "Oh, David's not feeling well. He said he ate some bad eggs." I said, "Really? If you believe that, that boy is hungover." "Well, are you
Yeah.
coming to pick him up?" "Absolutely not. He's going to suffer through it the whole school day." She was
Hmm.
like, "What?" I was like, I'm at work. He's going to suffer. His nana is not coming to pick him up. His dad is out of town. Suffer."
Yeah.
She was appalled. She was like, "You mean you're going to make him stay?" "Absolutely.
Mm.
And his nana will pick him up at 3:30. And guess what? His behind has work on Saturday. Who they played the game, whoever fell asleep first, he still had green stuff on the side of his face.
Mm.
So, yeah, whatever. Work it out, bruh.
And I think that's a larger part of what's going on in at least in America is that what we used to call tough love doesn't exist anymore. So parents are unwilling to make their kids responsible for the things that they've done. It's like you put yourself in this situation, you walk home. But I didn't. No, 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 no. It's 5 miles. I guess you will understand when that bus pulls off, your behind better be right.
Right.
Greg said there need to be consequences.
Yeah. And accountability. Accountability and consequences. And right now, as a first year administrator, the kids hate my guts, but I'm like, I'm doing my job. You guys are not going to sit up here and crazy. Like, what? Absolutely not. Not on my watch, as Ayanna Van Zant would say. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. But then the power struggle becomes, um, let me see if I can make them do something for me. Absolutely not. A girl threw a piece of paper on the floor. Miss, can you pick that up? Absolutely not. And I walked out the room. I don't know who you thought I was. I'm not her. You can bend down and pick up that paper just as fast as you threw it on the ground. Nope.
Yeah.
So it's a
So
test of wills. It's the test of wills, but the lack of education, because they'd rather be entertained instead of educated and snack all damn day on Takis and Doritos. And I'm like, yo, what are y'all doing? And I've had to make those phone calls to parents about the stupid Takis and Doritos, the red dye, the purple dye, the blue dye, at 9 o'clock in the morning. And your child is eating from 9 to 4 o'clock until they get out of school.
Yeah. And I don't know how much. I don't even know how much that'll. I mean, granted, you should do it, make phone calls, document it, but some of it, again, like I said, sometimes the parents is getting through them. This you got a better chance of trying to get through the kid. Because some of them parents, they after a while stop calling me with this nonsense. Yeah, they eat Doritos or whatever. I'm not there. You handle it, and that's their kind of their attitude.
Well, the
well, let
thing,
me ask this. Go ahead,
go ahead.
Daphne.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, how much of this is driven by um I don't necessarily want to say legislation. How much of this is driven by the the fear, if you will, of school districts in the state being sued?
Sued for what?
I don't know. It
Oh,
just
I
seems
don't know. So, well, here's my take on it, which is very controversial. I think, to be honest with you, the majority of the teachers in our school district are Caucasian.
okay.
So they smack the crap out of our kids as long as they behave well, and I'm using air quotes, to not make their job difficult. I know I've had a teacher today. Oh, can you call the parents? Okay, send me the list. She sent me the list. I look in Infinite Campus. You haven't done your due diligence. You're not going to pass off your responsibility on to me. I'm going to need you to call these parents. Once you call those parents, then I'll back you up. But
Okay.
at the end of the day, it's classroom management. And I'm not doing your job in my job too. That's no, we have different components of our jobs to make it work. And if you're not doing your component, that doesn't become part of my job.
And some of that with teachers calling parents is that it's the fear that they already know what they're and if they know the parent, they already know what they're going to face with, so they may try to avoid that at all costs. They may say, oh, I sent the email. Well, you know damn well that parent don't check emails. Everybody knows that they don't check, not all of them, but some parents, they're not going to check the email. But I guess to say, well, I documented it, I did reach out by email instead of picking up the phone, because some parents will tell, oh, you can call me anytime. Call me if they're acting up. But sometimes the teachers, they might avoid that at all costs.
Well, it's called quietly quitting.
Mm.
So they do just enough not to get in trouble, but under the rate to stay underneath the radar and do their due diligence. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they're quietly quitting because guess what? The teachers get verbally abused, physically abused. Like, teachers and administrators realistically do not get paid enough to be abused by children. Like, it's the weirdest thing how children are telling adults what to do. So now they meet Dr. Blue. Who are you talking to? You have lost your mind. And then they think I'm their friend. And they're like, what up, sis? What up, girl?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And you have to put those boundaries in place. And they get mad and they're like, oh, you doing too much. Well, you're not doing enough to stay your butt in the seat to get your lesson because it looks like you have a 50 in math.
Mm.
So I'm not understanding what are we doing here?
Yeah, and that's one of the powerful tools at the end of the day that you can always go to is pulling up grades and let them know why this is the reason why you're here. So a lot of times when I get tired of hearing all the mumble jumble and all the talk, I said, let me go in our program. Let me go into Schoology. Let's check out your grades. No, I'm good. I'm good, Mr. Glover. I'm good. I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm about to
Yeah,
go back to class. No, you go, Mom, let's go through this. Like, then I looked and I'm just like, wow.
yeah.
Wow. And they like, why you got to do it? You already know why. You got like five E's. And you're sitting around here running amok around the school, but you're failing everything. And then they kind of get quiet. And then you like, well, at this point, don't look like you're going to participate in the farewell ceremony at the end. Then they eyes get all big, like, damn, like for real? Like you knew
Yeah.
this was coming. But you got to have some type of leverage, and a lot of times you don't have leverage because I don't even know if we're gonna have summer school this year because of the budget cuts and all that. And that used to be one thing you could hold over their heads, but now everybody passes, it seems, except when you get to high school. Then that may not be the case.
Well, then they're doing them a disservice because they don't have the skill set to move on to the next level. Because in high school, it ain't no review. You might get a get to know you pack, or what's your favorite food, what's your nickname, what's this, that, and the other. And the second or third day, they rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
So if our kids don't have the foundational skills, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade to move on to high school, guess who's dropping out? The majority of our black and brown kids are dropping out. So it's like, but the parents aren't seeing that at all. I've had a student come to me and talk to me and say, I wish I would have listened to you. And it's like, yeah, I was trying to give you nuggets of wisdom at your locker. But now here it is. You thought you was going to be a doctor and get into medical school at UB, and here it is. You had to take chemistry 4 times. Yeah, bruh, that dream has that ship has sailed, and you're mad and angry because you listened to the other instead of the person who looked like you, who had the means and resources to help you do and get to Harvard, but you wanted to listen to the other. So now you got to pivot, and pivot angrily, because it's not what you thought it was going to be cracked up to be. And now it's like, wow, I should have listened to you. And we have these conversations because he was angry. And I was like, yo, dude, you can't be an angry black man. It's time to pivot. You're spending too much time on the anger of what coulda, shoulda, woulda. And it's time to pivot and be great in another area. So you're not going to be a doctor. You could be a doctor of technology. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's different possibilities to think of, but he wanted to be a medical doctor. You didn't cut it as a medical doctor. You can be a tech doctor. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's there's endless possibilities, but they don't think beyond their cell phones and the group chat and the baddies shows and fighting. Oh, you can get this fade. Like what? Boys and girls fighting.
Catch that fade.
It's like the weirdest thing, and it's like, yo, what are y'all doing? Like, y'all don't understand. And then some of these kids actually think that they're going to private schools. You are unprepared. You get into that private school, they're eating your behind up.
Yeah, I get a lot of those referral letters and recommendation letters, and I'm like, man, are y'all serious? And these parents be for real. Oh, the deadline is such and such. Well, I'm a little bit behind the deadline, and I'm pulling transcripts and stuff, and I'm like, man, it ain't no way. It ain't no way. But see, some of the things that these kids recognize about the system, that like in middle school, if you, and this is when they had summer school, and they still may have it, but it may be like downscale. But they know, like, hey, found I ain't got to do work. I ain't got to do shit all year. I just go to summer school, and then I go half a day for 4 hours. I take two classes, reading and math, and then I can go on to the next grade. So they'll they won't do anything the whole year. And
Well,
then if they had to repeat or be retained, they already know that they can't fail the same grade twice. So again, that's another year of not saying, well, I'm not going to do shit again. They ain't got no choice but to move me on to the seventh grade or move me on to the eighth grade. And
well, the
that's
thing
just
of
how it is. Middle
well, the
school.
thing of it is in Buffalo, you go for those 2 classes or you go for 4. So they have options. It depends on what content classes you have failed. If you failed 2 of the content classes, you take those 2, you get out at 11:30. You failed 4, you're behind and staying to 3:30.
Mm,
You're
yeah.
staying to 3:30. But the thing of it is, I've had a parent made their child fail for the 3rd time. The parent said he's not adequately prepared.
In middle school,
Yeah.
nah, they ain't even supposed. I don't even know how they. So they basically went to high school and they was like 15, 16.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
see,
had I've had some 8th graders who were 15, 15, 16,
no, that ain't.
and had babies.
Yeah, that should
Oh,
they shouldn't even be in the middle school at 16 with 11 and 12-year olds. That's just socially, it's not appropriate.
But guess what? It's not it's and it wasn't just one. It was like a cluster. It was like 3 or 4 of them kids, and one of them had a baby.
Yeah, see,
You know what I'm saying? She was in the
yeah,
8th grade trying to be a regular kid, but she was trying to hide the baby. But once she got to high school, she couldn't hide it no more. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
She
yeah,
could she brought the baby out and everything else. But she told me, but she had to come out on her own of what she wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, there's a cluster in each school that has 15-year-olds that are still stuck in the 8th grade.
yeah, and that creates a lot of problems socially that the schools districts don't want to deal with. When you got your 11-year-old daughter messing with some 15-year-old boy, yeah,
Hello.
and
Hello. I
yeah,
had it in high school. A senior was messing with a freshman.
yeah, some of them
that's
seniors be super
wild.
seniors, like 20.
Yes. Yes. And now in New
I
York
was,
State,
but I, you
they're
know what the
working
funny
on
thing about that
23
statement
state
is,
schools.
I remember graduating at 20, but I made it a point not to deal with anybody that was a freshman or a sophomore. I was like, I'm not, because I'm not gonna mention any names, but I ended up dating this female long after we were out of high school. And I said one of the reasons why I didn't date you then, because she was a freshman. I was like, because I knew you probably would have ended up pregnant. And I said, I wasn't, me being me at that time, I said, I wasn't going to be the one responsible for you not finishing high school.
Exactly.
But
And that's what I had to tell my student. And he had an apartment set up. So this is what he did. His mom was on HUD or Section 8 and living in the projects downtown Buffalo, used his mama's Section 8 to get his Section 8 apartment, moved her in junior year into the apartment. And here in Buffalo, when we had I guess riots or something on Bailey or whatever. And he was like, I'm scared. I'm scared. I said, first of all, you shouldn't have never took that girl from her house. Second of all, you better not get her pregnant. And third of all, you better allow her to finish high school like you were allowed to finish high school.
basic education.
Basic education. But please understand, these kids are savvy enough to navigate governmental assistance to their advantage to springboard their adulthood and families in the projects.
Mm,
Nobody talks about this. I've seen it with my own eyes. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. And then don't forget the alternative kids who are in Ferry, who get out of Ferry, who come to alternative instruction, who ain't got no credits. Cause guess what? Ain't no certified teachers going
Oh,
to the detention center at Ferry, giving them the work that they need and the education that they need. So then when they release them and they come to alternative, They ain't got no credits. You've been in Ferry for 2.5 years and you come to alternative thinking you a junior and you ain't got no damn credits.
Yeah, it reminded me of kids down here. One of them had got out, and I was reviewing his transcript. They had, because it's all about seat time, how many
Yes.
hours they have to be in these classes. And the principal at the time, like, yo, Glover, here's like, we don't do jail credit hours, so I don't know what we're gonna do. This, I don't know if this kid could come here. He need to go straight to alternative ed, because we don't
Yeah.
do jail credits. And that, I always
Because
thought
it's
that
just
was
busy
funny.
work.
Yeah.
It's just busy work in there. Because one of my students came out and she was angry because she thought she was earning high school credits while she was in there and she didn't. And that situation could have been prevented. All the principal had to do was call the judge and tell the judge, we can't release this student for her court date because the person who came to pick her up is not on the list for pickup. We need to reschedule the court date. That principal did not do that. So guess what? That little girl was held in contempt or with a bench warrant or whatever they do. And that's how she went back in. So she flipped out. You know what I'm saying? She flipped out. And I was like, well, at the time, you can have your phone. I said, you need to contact the people, the courts or whatever, and tell them what's going on. But she couldn't even calm down enough to even listen to reason to try to even help her own self out of the situation. So there's different facets that people really don't think about in this field of education on the administrative side and the teacher side. The question is, do you stand behind your teachers at that time? I stand behind my teachers most definitely. But here's my thing. You as a teacher have to do your part in order for me to do my part. I can't do your part and my part. Like I'm not
And
gonna
that's what
do.
and one moment, Daphne, let me hop in here. And that's what Greg and I were messaging back and forth. And that's what I mean by some teachers care more than others. Some teachers, they come from urban America. So their interaction and introductions with minorities is non-existent. So they don't understand how to deal with them. They think everything that they read or see in the movies or TV is how black people behave, and that generally isn't true. But if you don't even start
Right.
to make contact with them, you're going to be stuck there, and those kids are never going to get what they need to progress. That's why it would seem that it's a black white issue when it's more of a cultural issue, and that is always going to be a problem in the United States of America because the preponderance of teachers in the U.S. school district are Caucasian females. This is something that David and I went over probably last year when we talked about jobs that bring up the most stress and lead to fatigue and have a higher turnover rate, and then ultimately lead to self deletion
Well,
because you
the
have
thing
these
of
things.
it is, well, here's the thing of here's my belief, to be honest with you. You are a grown ass woman and adult. And if you know you're applying to an urban school district, it is your due diligence to do your research and dismantle and immerse yourself into some type of knowledge, class, cultural, CLRI. We have CLRI here, which is culturally linguistic responsive instruction. I'm not buying that because guess what? If I had to apply for a job in the suburbs, I'd have to definitely adapt to their environment and culture. Hands down. Going in there blindly and with no knowledge or the white fragility or black fragility, I should say. Oh, I didn't know. Oh my God, I didn't. That's not gonna fly. So I'm not understanding when the majority of these white teachers come into the urban setting. that you are not doing your homework before you get there. And many of these teachers, not all, but many of these teachers choose our district, Buffalo Public Schools, because it's one of the highest paying districts in this area. And they know that they don't have to do a lot of work and fly under the radar and obtain tenure within a 4-year time period and reap the benefits, while our children are the casualties of war. And it's not fair. It's not fair at all. But then you got to get the parents on board to understand that education is not an option. It's mandatory.
And see, and one of the things with that, when you have new teacher hires and stuff like that, at the overachieving schools or schools that make, was it AYP, adequate year progress, those teachers usually stay in those schools. You have the same teachers, they like, okay, these cush jobs that they stay there for 20, 25 years. So there's no openings. So it's always openings in the low achieving schools. So when you're fresh out of college or going into that experience and you're applying for low achieving schools pretty much, and their teaching experiences when they was student teaching probably haven't been in environments like that. So they walk into day one like, what the hell is going on here? And that's their career. So now they sink or swim, man. You only can hope that you do something, that you build relationships with kids, but if they sense that you weak and they can take advantage of you, that's a cooked goose every day, all day.
Well, in Buffalo Public Schools, you have to do your student teaching in an urban school district unless you choose a suburban school district. But you have to do one of those placements is definitely urban. It's definitely urban.
A lot of this reminds me, it doesn't remind me, it illustrates the movie Lean on Me with Morgan Freeman and Robert Guillaume. And a lot of people, granted the movie was based on a true story. A lot of people think it's a script. That's a true story. And what a lot of people need to realize is there's more of that going on in certain segments of America than it is not. And it stems from a lot of different factors. When I ran for school board, I said, look, homeschool community, those are your 3 pillars. That's where your kids learn everything from. If they don't learn it in school, they learn it at home. If they don't learn it at home or school, they learned it in the community. And that's when she was talking about the marijuana. That's where they're getting the marijuana from. You got these kids that some of them, like you guys were talking about, the 15, 16-year-olds in middle school. That's where they get it from. And I can assure you. Why? Because when I was doing my AAU team, we asked a question. We said, how many of you are smoking weed? All but one of the kids raised their hand. And we said, what jobs do you hope to find? When marijuana testing, at least then, was a standard part of the hiring practice. You're going to be, no pun intended, you're going to be weeded right out. So we will say, look, we can't tell you what to do. We can only advise you what to do. You're your own individual. Granted, you're not adults, but some of you are 16, 17. You're going to age out of high school at 21, so it doesn't matter at a particular point. These teachers are going to look at you and say, okay, you know what? You can keep cutting up. You're 17 right now. You're a freshman. You're not going to be able to walk across the stage no matter what we do. We can't skip you enough grades because you won't accumulate the credits.
So
go ahead, Daph.
It's not 21 anymore. It's 22, and they're working on 23. So you're going to have till 23 to get high school.
Jesus Christ.
Is this a New York State thing or period?
Yes. Well, it's a New York State thing at this point in time, but it might be across the board. Only God knows.
So
administration.
So who approved that somebody could be 22, 23 and you in the school with 13-year-olds, whatever? That shit don't even make sense. And whoever did that, whoever coming up with this stuff is idiots. That don't even
It
that
doesn't
don't even
compute.
don't even make sense.
Oh,
No,
jeez.
it doesn't make sense at all. But yeah, it's happening. It's now 22 and they're working on 23.
So you're
Just so
supposed
you
to be graduating from college at that time, and they're extending
Yes.
high school. What the hell is coming to this world? Like that's just the most
And
craziest thing
and then
possible.
we wonder why people don't have not only the comprehension skills, but just the adult skills to deal with the generalities of what everyday adults go through living life. I mean, I thought with me picking up the second job, I get a far greater insight into young adult behavior and rationale. And man, there's just some things that I just can't understand. I can't wrap my hands around, can't get my mind around it. I'm just like, why? And I asked the two people because they've been there longer, they've been doing it longer than I have. But she said flat out that they're just lazy. They don't want to. They don't think they have to. So we are essentially in the midst of a generation of kids who lack parental skills, who don't know what it means to be adult, and who think they're going to be settled through life on some type of fairy that doesn't exist.
well, the thing of it is too, is that um many of these students feel entitled. And that is part of the problem. When I talked to a student today. He was like, "Well, the teacher ain't give me no pencil. That's not his job. You're the student. He can't just kick me out his classroom. It's his classroom. He's in charge of the classroom." I said, "Do you not find it odd that you're telling a teacher who has a master's degree what to do and you can't pass eighth grade? You can't even sit in your class for 42 minutes to get the lesson that you need to get. Yeah, good luck with that one. You could borrow a pen or pencil from a friend." I said, "It's not the teacher's job to give you school supplies. That is not their job." "Well, he's supposed to teach." Exactly what he's supposed to do. And your job as a scholar is to obtain the materials you need to be great and do the work.
See, one of the funny things to kind of be play devil's advocate when that, because a lot of times, even in my
Yep.
school, teachers tell kids, "Get out, get out." If you put a kid out of class, you better have somewhere for them to go.
Right.
Because if they decide to say, "Shit, they told me to get out, I left the building," and they leave and they get hit by a car or something like that,
Yep.
your ass is grass and somebody the lawnmower. So they need to be
Yeah.
going somewhere, like to the main office. I'm sending such and such down. To you better cover yourself. But sometimes teachers get into that emotion back and forth, like get out, and they just shut the door, and the kid like, well, I ain't had nowhere to go, so shit, I ain't want to go to the main office because I ain't want a consequence, and I couldn't come in the counseling office because I didn't have a pass, so I left the building. Or was roaming around, being truant from class in the bathroom, doing who knows what. And in this day and age, all you got to do is text somebody. Well, I got put out of class. Come see me. I'm gonna be in the bathroom. Next thing you know, they in stalls, doing it, doing whatever.
Well, here's the thing too, that I just found out in one of my meetings, that every time a student leaves your room, you kick them out, they consider that a suspension.
Mm.
I was like, "What?" So every time a student gets kicked out of class and they have to come to my office, that's considered a suspension. And you're supposed to call the parent. And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "It's called restorative. If you talk to the student, talk to
Right.
the teacher, that should be restorative. That shouldn't go against the child as a suspension. It's called the ISS, in school suspension."
Right.
I'm like, "What the heck?" Like 2 minutes, the kid leaves the room. That's considered that's considered a suspension. I'm like, so the kid is being penalized again, not double penalized. Because one, he gets kicked out of class. Two, he gets an in school suspension.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, what the heck? Like, this is ridiculous. I can understand the documentation of calling the parent, letting the parent know, though, they got kicked out of class, this, that, and the other, X, Y, and Z. But then to put that on that kid's record as an in school suspension, that's ridiculous. It's over. It's over. It's over punishment.
Yeah, this code of conduct and all that stuff. It's it's getting out of hand. I mean, it's just it's crazy. Even the whole thing, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago about the kids that's doing their protest and stuff like that. Uh,
Right.
how that's being handled by the schools. And you try schools want to kind of give kids the opportunity to have a freedom of speech, but at a certain point, it could be based on the handbook. It's a school disruption.
Yep.
Uh, and you can
Yep.
do that some other time. You can encourage them, hey, come protest on Saturday or something when you in under your parents' watch, and if y'all want to march and all that stuff. But if you feed into it, like we said a couple weeks ago, then you're opening yourself up at every little incident that these kids go say, hey, let's take some time out of class and say we want to protest this, and they'll learn that, oh, this is a way that we can
Yeah.
take up resources and kind of turn things in our favor. That you got principals trying to negotiate with kids, hey, can we do it this day, do it that day? You're giving them power,
Right.
giving them more power than they need.
People don't seem to realize that for as dumb as a lot of people think these kids are, they are very intuitive and very insightful, just like you were saying, David, and what they can do and get away with. And parents got a very good dose of this during COVID. A lot of people seem to think that you can always flip a switch and get a child to behave when that's not the case. And we saw this during COVID. If your child was routinely disruptive, routinely got bad grades, and didn't do the work necessary to stay with their other classmates, that only manifested itself during COVID. So you had a lot of kids who came back after COVID and they were farther behind their classmates, and then people wondered why. They said, well, these kids were home with their parents. They were supposed to be doing remote learning. Well, guess what they didn't do? They didn't remote
Remote
learn.
learning.
They did not remote learn. Why? Because the parents weren't there to enforce them. People say, well, where were the parents? Everybody was on lockdown. The parents didn't care enough. So you can't send a student to school to learn if it's not being reinforced at home. And often that is what that is. David and I talk about this all the time. Where's your homework? Well, we didn't have any homework. What are your grades like? C minus. Then you have homework. See, a lot of people tend to have the mindset that homework is work that wasn't finished in class. No,
Oh, absolutely not. That's
homework is there to make you better. So if you're
yeah.
struggling in math, we gonna
Yeah.
find we gonna find additional problems in this particular sector for you to do. You're struggling in English, we gonna go get you some books from the library to read. You're struggling in science, we gonna go get some science problems for you to deal with. Especially now in this day and age with the access to online education, and I know some people don't have ready access. That's why libraries exist.
Well,
But
the thing
yeah,
of it
go
is
ahead,
too.
Stephanie.
The thing of it is too that teachers don't give homework because the kids don't do the homework because it's not enforced at home.
Mhm.
So, on top of that, we have the no cell phone policy across New York State. So now we're competing with no homework
Mhm.
and then no cell phone, which
Mhm.
has been a nightmare. Um, it's just it impede a lot of things are impacting students' education. And these kids know it and they don't care because guess what? I'm going to be a football player. I'm going
Yeah.
to be a
Oh
basketball.
yeah.
I'm going to be a rapper. I'm going to like get rich quick. Oh, I trade
YouTube
stocks.
influencer.
Yeah, be an influencer. And it's like one kid told me, Miss, you want to follow me on TikTok? I'm an influencer. I said, how about influence some books and get to work? Like, they was like, oh my gosh, she just throws shade all day because I'm about your education. I don't care if you influence, that's a part-time job to me. What do you know? Will you be able to read your contract? Like, what are you doing? Like they really don't like me. They really don't, but I know that I'm doing my job and I'm imparting wisdom at the same time with discipline and boundaries. Like it's but I'm looking at them like I understand COVID happened to everybody, across this world, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. My thing is, everybody had the same 7 days a week, the same 24 hours. What did you do with your time? This was the time for us to reestablish some rules and boundaries in our families. And many of us just checked out. Many of us checked out. And I'm gonna tell you right now, some of the teachers wasn't in lockdown. They was in their cabins. They went to Florida. One teacher was on a yacht doing remote learning. I'm like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
what the hell is
yeah.
going on
On
here?
cruises and all
Yeah.
kinds of, yeah.
Until one teacher, a tree fell on her, and they was like, you can't get comp because you wasn't at home.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Exactly.
I heard from one of my other teachers that what teacher, she was on cruises during that time, and she would have her whole thing recorded. So when the kids would lock in, sign in, she had a whole recording, and I was like, wow, like
Yes.
that can't be possible. But I
And
guess
your
the
and your work
technology is.
turned in on Schoology, and they saw when you turned it in, and the teacher graded it, and we had to sync our Schoology to our Infinite Campus. So once you graded it in Infinite Campus, in Schoology, it automatically entered it in Infinite Campus. So, and now AI is infused with it. So a lot of our kids are illiterate. They go to the bathroom and sneak their phone and try to do the work in AI. I was like, yeah, you can do the work and then you copying off other people, but when it comes down to that test, you on your own. You don't have a leg to stand on because you done copied off your friends and you used AI, and you don't know how to practically apply the knowledge that you basically stole or cheated on.
It's too many variables right now to. It's hard to get a win in this industry. It's hard. It's just too many things that we're up against. That's why I say for myself, when we talk about timelines and all that, I know I got to go. I got to go. I mean, I'm not. My personality don't allow me to get stressed like that. So a lot of times I just kind of gotta find humor in some of the stuff. But at the same time, like, man, this is kind of sad. But I will not be that person that's broken down and stressed out to the point, because I forgot who I was talking to somebody the other day. They was like, the reality is that you work all your life, and then a couple years later you die.
Yes,
And
it happened.
that's not how my stories go in. They're not
Exactly.
gonna run me raggedy through that. So I'm looking at, thinking about different things and saying, I got to get out on top. I got to come out on top. Whether it may not be top of the finances that I want to retire with there, but if you're still young, you can still do other things. And
Yes,
if you're
your
still
return on
capable,
your investment.
yeah.
And I can tell you, I saw one of my teacher friends driving down, retire. Asked me about his retirement. I said, well, you better hurry up and put it in. It's Thanksgiving. Put it in right now before Thanksgiving, and you'll be done in December. I saw him riding down Bailey one day in January on a Tuesday. I was at his funeral on a Friday, and I kid you not.
Mm.
And I
People do
kid you
not realize how serious that is.
yes, it's totally serious. It's totally serious. That's like, I get, why did you go over to the dark side? Right now, I need the biggest bang for my buck. And guess what? I got I got 5, 6 more years on this side. And I'm being nice by giving you 5 or 6. I'm saying 2, and I'm calling it into existence, because guess what? My goal is to be an associate superintendent, and I'm gonna need a bigger bang for my buck. and then I'm going out because I already have my educational consulting firm already in place.
It is.
Yeah.
You have to think very strategically, and our kids cannot see past tomorrow. Our kids can't. Our
Well,
kids really can't.
well, a lot of their parents can't see it, and I see the things, I see the stuff on social media. A lot of these parents and stuff is too centered around parties and events
Yep.
and
And,
activities, and
and
that's just like,
trips. Yep.
and that's all they know. They don't have no other goals. They don't think about, damn, I'm 50 something right now. What is it going to be? What's going to happen when I'm 60? That's the furthest thing from their mind. Longest they could go to the next party, post pictures and all that. And I say, ain't your raggedy ass tired of posting pictures of you in a club or at a bar? Like, but nope, that's all they see. So kids see that and they say, hey, shit, all my mother and father do, they go out. They go
They
out
go
all the
out.
time. They post pictures and all that shit. This must be the life. But I know every time I ask them for something, they
Can't
ass say they don't got it. And now I got to find a way to get it. So if you're a little girl, you know how to get it from that 23-year-old that's in high school and your ass 13. And
Yeah.
he'll
Yep.
provide for you.
Because a parent went out of town. Her oldest daughter pierced her nose in a friend's nose, and she had to call the parent and apologize to the parent. I said, yeah, you hope that nose hole in that girl's face don't get infected. And then the other girl, then her daughter telling people to kill themselves. The mom's like, every time I come back from a trip, well, there it is. There it is.
Trips and the kids never there, never going on the trips. You going on your own little escapades.
Hello, you trying to live YOLO. You only live once. Your kids ain't grown. Your kids are not grown. Where are you going without them, first and foremost? I'm not understanding this. We had a break, midwinter break last week. Where did they go? You gone, but they not on break with you. Like I'm not understanding.
I think this is why. Oh, go ahead, Dad. Go ahead, finish.
No, I'm just saying, I just don't understand that, because for me, you're leaving your children in danger for you to go have fun. Because now you're mad every time you come back. You can't come back and have a relaxed household. You always have additional issues to deal with. And this issue right here is major serious, because your daughter is telling people to go kill themselves. So now that's extra work, paperwork, investigation, check in, check out. You got to call the psychologist, the SST team. You got to call the parents of the kids that she said that to. Make wellness phone calls. Like it's crazy that they say reckless stuff out of their mouth, and this is serious. And I'm like, yo, what are y'all doing? I don't know. It's just at this point in time, I tell myself 2 years. Daphne, you got 2 years. Let's get it, kid, and exit and go to the next level.
Yeah, and again, that was the point of the show, to talk about these deadlines and timelines and the stress level that's a part of it. That at certain times you feel pressed, like I got to get this done at this time, because again, like I said, people are retiring and they're dying. They're dying, and that's it. And there's no, I mean, that's a whole different religious perspective, whatever. But I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, whatever. Going to meet that other person in heaven and joining them, I don't know if that's what you want to sign up for when you're in your 50s or 60s,
No,
whatever.
but it's happening though.
Yeah, it's definitely happening, because again, you're stressed the hell out and you're not doing things on your terms because you didn't have no preparation or no plan, and you stayed in it for a long time. It's no secret. Like when you think about people in nursing homes or healthcare, and they've been CNAs for 25, 30 years. And then after a while, shit, they they old, they getting older themselves, but they ready. They lose patience with the elderly, and they get mistreated. And we talked about this months ago that this younger generation, when they start taking over these jobs, I hope I don't end up being in no damn nursing care that one of them, because they're gonna beat the shit of any older person because they don't know how to handle conflict.
Right.
So
No,
if
they
you're an
really don't.
older person and you're and you might be have dementia, and you might be a little volatile and do things. This younger generation, shit, they gonna square up on you and probably do
You gonna
whatever.
catch that fade.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
gonna catch that fade.
And that's gonna be the crazy thing. And people
Supervisor
like,
comes in
okay,
there and finds an adult on the floor,
yeah.
battered and bruised, and they're gonna wonder what in the world happened.
Or the
Yeah.
person fell on the floor and they're in the patient's room on their phone, texting or whatever, and they didn't see they didn't have a fall. It's I don't know. That's
Well,
all I can say. I don't know.
but even talking about this, and I've talked about it extensively to my own children, where I'm like making sure my insurance, I'm taking out extra money for dental implants, for to be able to stay in my own home and have assistance in my own home. But like you said, who's coming to the house to come care for you? If this generation ain't doing it, or don't have the empathy or sympathy or the compassion and or the education to understand what's going on. Like I sent my son's Valentine's Day cards before Valentine's Day. I sent them out on Thursday. I just asked them yesterday, did you all get your Valentine's Day cards? They said no. And then I thought about it. I said, Daphne, you wrote the addresses in cursive. They can't read cursive. My son fell out laughing. I said, you probably won't get your card.
Hmm.
And my middle son will be here in an hour. He will see his mom before he get his Valentine's Day card.
So you said the male people couldn't read it?
No, the male people can't read. Every time I get a new male person, they look younger and younger. I'm like, this dude can't read cursive writing.
Delivering it to the wrong person, just
See,
the wrong guy.
and the one thing I always said, nothing's aligned, whatever. When you decided to take that out, then you should say to yourself, no longer. When you took it out of schools, you need to say, no, you no longer have to sign anything or write anything in cursive. You can't take away something that was law for years, and then all of a sudden change it up, because you have print and then signature. So every time I'm doing like student handbooks with kids, I'm like, well, you probably don't know how to. You just got to print it. So you got to remove that. See, yeah, they half-ass do stuff, and you know that they don't know. How the hell are they supposed to sign something if you don't teach it no more? See, a
They
lot of
can't
the
even
stuff don't
sign
make
for their
sense.
diplomas. Listen,
Yeah,
they're
none of
supposed
the
to
stuff
sign for
makes
their
sense.
high school diplomas. How you gonna sign?
Yeah, and you sign your paycheck and all of that stuff.
Well, now
This,
you take a picture of your paycheck. Well, you got to sign the back of it.
yeah,
But
it don't make sense. None of the stuff they do makes sense, so they don't think it forward to say, why the hell do we even still have this on here for them to sign when they're not taught this in school? Where they supposed to learn it? I mean, I guess you could teach them that at home, but
who they really teaching at home? Ain't nobody
yeah,
sitting down long enough because the people going
yeah,
to going
Oh
on
boy.
cruises and trips.
yeah. So again, this is where we at, people. But you got to critically think about all this stuff, and a lot of people I don't, because they're worried about the next event, next cruise, next party, whatever the case is.
Well, I got yelled at by someone that I know. I was going on a cruise. I was like, "Yay, my first vacation! Yay, yay, yay!" Well, guess what? I got a new position. Guess what? I ain't got no vacation time. Guess who ain't going on that cruise?
Damn right.
I
Yeah.
ain't going. I ain't going. And she was mad. I was like, "Yo, you want me to make you happy and lose my job at the same time and go on a
Not
cruise
gonna
with the
happen.
price? Yeah,
Yeah.
not happening.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah,
You
because
just
you
gonna have to go.
once you get established, you'll be able to have your vacation time and be able to go on the cruise. Maybe just not this time, but
And
you'll
that's
be
what
able
I
to
would.
go. Yeah,
But you would think that she would have understood
yeah.
that as an older adult.
Nah,
Hello, their mindset is is similar.
yeah. Well, I always talk about this too. I said a lot of adulthood minds, it's middle school level. It's this on the
Yes.
same wavelength, whatever. A lot of adults think like middle school kids. Either these middle school kids too grown, but a lot of conversations I have, and I tell them, like, this stuff ain't gonna change. When you get older, y'all still gonna be having the same type of conversations with the text messaging, the group chats, and all this. How many times grown adults get into it in group chats and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I said it's the same stuff.
It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense.
Definitely
make no
better get Bruno over there. Look like he
No,
ready to
my
attack.
son is just now coming in the house
Oh yeah.
at 10:15. He
Yeah.
done beat the dog on Valentine's Day card.
Yeah.
He here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It don't make no
It's
sense.
crazy, man. And I don't even. I always say my saving grace is I don't have kids, and it's not because I didn't ever want kids, which I didn't. I say that because my children would have had to deal with the children of other adults who would not have taken the time that I
Yes.
have to put into my child. It's almost the equivalent of two people having a driver's license. One of the drivers took defensive driving and spent hours behind the wheel before they even went and applied for their permit and got their graduate license. The other person just jumped in the car, read the book, and done nothing at all. And they're both driving the same streets.
Listen, in Virginia, all you have to do, you can sign up for your road, go in there, take your exam, and sign up for your road test at the same time at the same date. I did it. Went in there, took my exam. They was like, "Oh, you ready for your road test?" And I was like, "Already? You're not gonna wait a week or so?" They was like, "No, you can take it right now." I was like, "Okay, let's go." I went in there at 9. By 11:30, I had my driver's license.
And that's the thing they trying to crack down now in Maryland, whatever, because a lot of people live in Baltimore, they got Virginia license plates. So when you see somebody with Virginia license plates live in Maryland, you're like, oh, this shit's sketchy.
It
Or
is.
when you see them driving, you like, whoa, like it's sketchy.
Yeah, like my son refuses to get his license plates changed from New York State to Maryland. I'm like, dude, you can't do it. You've been gone 3 years. What the heck are you doing? He'll drive back to get his inspection sticker and all his stuff. I'm like, yo, dude, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, sooner or later, I mean,
It's gonna catch up.
You'll
Yeah,
catch
he's
up
gonna
with
pay
him.
the
Oh, yeah.
stupid tax.
Oh yeah.
He gonna pay the stupid tax. I already told him, dude, keep on playing. You're gonna pay the stupid tax. They're gonna get you one way or the other.
Yeah, they'll get him when he renews his license.
Hello. And I told him, I said, that looks crazy. A banker loses his license. You're a banker, dude. Make it make sense.
A lot going on, man.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot going on. It really is. And our kids are the biggest losers. Because guess what? You think them white kids is losing on the same rate as our black and brown kids are? Absolutely not. They're not worried about eyelashes and wig installs and beating their face.
Yeah.
Like they not thinking about that stuff.
Nah, and certainly they parents, and not all of them, but the ones that's high achieving, they kind of set. They ain't even worried about nowhere to live because they could stay under mom and dad's roof, do what they got to do before they get situated. But you know, our kids, we tell them that, oh, once you get 18, you out of here.
Right.
Where the hell you got to go? Unless you go to a college campus, where the hell you got to go at 18, and where could you afford to pay in this day and age?
Absolutely nowhere. And I told all 3 of my kids, this dude that's in office, listen, my mortgage is $813. Y'all make sure y'all have a spot. I'll make sure you have the resources to get a job here. It might not be what you want right now, but $202 a month sounds mighty good to live at home.
Can't beat that. You can travel, do whatever you want.
Listen, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
$202 a piece.
Yeah.
for 4 people. Listen,
Yeah.
come on, man.
Yeah.
And you already know people and have resources. Yo, I need a job. I'm coming back here. Blah 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 blah. This, that, and the other. You can substitute teach in Buffalo. That's $150 a day.
Even if you wanted to stay, okay, it's the weekend. I'm going to stay at a hotel. You
You
got the
sure
money
enough
to do it.
could.
You got the money to do it.
And go to Canada and do
Yeah.
it too.
Yeah.
You could go out the country and do it.
But we don't think like that because we like, oh, the myths that told not too many grown people could be in a house together and all that stuff. If you're all in your own quarter, whatever, it can happen.
Well, the
It can
thing,
And,
happen.
see, and this is the truly tragic thing. When we look at the United States of America in its entirety, there is so much land in the Midwest that hell, you could take a family like what you're doing, Daphne, and move out there and buy 40, 50 acres for what you're paying
for
here.
for a compound. That's what my cousin Lorraine and her family and granddaughter just did that in Maryland. And when I suggested that to my children, they were like, "Oh, mom, you're such a hippy dippy." Now they saw it in real life motion. That wait a second, this can be done. Now they're like, "Oh man, mom, you was right. We should have been doing this." Well, yeah,
Anything
I
about
got
it.
the equity in my house to do that. But if y'all not on board, I'm not breaking my neck
Yeah,
to take the equity out of my home to place into something that you all are not going to take seriously.
right. Yep.
So I'll keep my equity in my own home. And guess what? Bury my black behind in the backyard and deem this a cemetery and don't pay taxes and use this property as an Airbnb and make your money.
they like they said, there's levels to this, and they ain't even got in the building.
No, no. And my mind is constantly thinking, but my children are 26, 27, 28. They in that generation, they will get up and quit a damn job in a minute. And where are you going? So you 26 years old making $75,000. You know another $75,000 job for a 26-year-old? Please let me know.
Uh, and they need to understand that whatever, like any opportunity you get and any advantages you get from a parent that's got their wherewithal and decent and got morals and value and still trying to exceed, you need to rally around that because unfortunately some kids don't have it. Their parents in and out of drug and alcohol rehabs and on the next person couch. When you have somebody when
Mhm.
when you have somebody that's willing to do it, you need to take heed to that and listen and say, damn, I, I don't have to struggle like all these other people. Like my homeboys or homegirls, shit, they got it bad. I got it good. Enjoy that greatness that you have.
Listen, my oldest son, teaches in DC. This boy used to tell me I was a bad parent. You're such a bad parent. You're this, you're that. Well, I don't know bad parents that send their kids to Nichols in private colleges like Oberlin and John Hopkins. Like, excuse me, sir. Uh okay. Guess what? He had to eat those words because guess what? He saw bad parents.
Mm.
He saw bad parents. He had to eat those words. He was like, I thought you was bad. Oh, hello. You were privileged and didn't even know it.
Yeah. They don't know it until you're gone or whatever the case is. But the ultimate goal is to try to preserve you as long as possible and everybody keep pushing forward. And I don't know.
Listen,
Again,
take your Geritol. Quit playing. Liquid or pill form. Which one you want? Which one you
yeah,
want? And I mean that because some of them high school kids, I had to tell them when I was in high school, I'm like, I'm almost 60. Why y'all look older than me? They was
Yeah,
like, Miss, you are not almost 60. My kids is almost 30. Hello? Who ain't almost 60?
I just had to tell a kid the other day. He was like, Mr. Glover, you about 70. I said, whatever. You believe what you want to believe. I said, I'm looking at your scan and looking at mine. And you
I
look
think
older
I
than
got
me in
the
the
heads
face.
up.
You look at me, look older than me in the face, and you like 13. You're like, whatever. I said, don't let the gray fool you.
Right. That yeah.
They don't
And
think that.
and it's because they drink, they smoke, they don't get
Oh.
sleep, and then they eat terrible. You were talking about the what's the name that they eat as
The
kids?
Takis,
Yep.
and the Doritos and
Yes.
the ramen noodles, and
That's the
I'm like, why
breakfast of
y'all?
champions. That's their breakfast. Breakfast of champions.
Yes.
I just did a video the other day. It's like a couple weeks ago. A girl, it was like 9 o'clock. And she's like, Mr. Glover, you seen Mr. Brown? And then I was like, I seen him earlier. She's like, man, he told me he was gonna give me some ribs. Ribs? Like who? What 13-year-old think about freaking ribs at 9 something in the morning? Like ribs? Are you kidding me? So
No.
now I call him McRib. And she's like, stop calling me that. Like you're McRib. Like your ass thinking about ribs, potato salad, all of that macaroni and cheese at 9 o'clock in the morning in a middle school.
But our kids are morbidly obese. There's several of them in my school that are morbidly obese, and all they do is
They don't
eat,
exercise.
and they don't exercise. Walking up the stairs every day is not exercise. Concerted exercise. Going to gym, I think they just sit. I'm gonna peek one day and to see what they doing in gym, because I don't think they exercise. This one girl tore up the little pancakes things that I had in the refrigerator for a whole entire week. I was like, don't you want to heat them up? Before I even got heat them up, they was gone, crumbs on the table and on the floor. I was like, well, okay, anything else you'd like in my refrigerator? Because there's applesauce. You went for the pancakes. You ain't go for the applesauce. But okay. Like, I don't know. Listen, and they always ask me, they're like, Miss, you got some snacks? And I'm like, yo, my big ass is almost 200 pounds like you. Do you think I need a damn snack?
You do not weigh no 200 pounds.
Yeah, I ain't buying
know.
that.
Like, stop.
I ain't buying
not.
that.
I kid y'all not. Almost 200.
I know myself. I'm sitting at about 290. So, but this summer I'm gonna get at it. But it's funny. Go ahead, Dave.
No, but she is right. They always asking for snacks and all that. If you have a drink on your thing, you already drank. Give me a waterfall. I said, what do I look like? What do I look like pouring some down your damn throat that after I drank out of? I said, the whole concept of that is gross, whatever. I can't get a waterfall, Mr. Glover?
No.
Hell no. Hell no. What do I look like doing that? This is crazy. This is crazy. But people don't believe it. They don't believe it unless they been inside there. They don't believe
Well,
it.
the thing of it is, too, in Virginia many years ago, my son, who just walked through the door, wasn't disrespectful to his teacher, but he politely ignored her because he still wanted to do some arts and crafts instead of move on to the lesson. I logged in to his account with his ID number, and I had to hear that teacher yell at my child. Emmanuel James Williams had a working lunch. Okay. I whooped his behind. Yes, I did. On lunch break, and I ain't had another problem from that boy since. Now, I think that if parents were to log in to what their child was doing and the camera focused strictly on their child,
they would be more
what's going on.
Yeah.
They need to do that. They need to do that. Manny didn't even know I knew what he was doing. I came out and said, come here, you about to have a working lunch. He looked at me. He's like, what's a working lunch? I'm going to tear that behind up. Let Miss Staub have to tell you to yell at you to put the crayons and the markers and the scissors up again. She told you 3-4 times. It was time to go on to the next lesson. You could have politely asked her, can I do this during recess? I'm quite sure she would have said yes. I ain't have a problem out of this boy since. And I promise you I didn't. That working lunch worked.
Yeah. You got to do what you got to do.
Listen, Listen, because the students really don't understand that they are a representation of their parents, and I say this all the time, and they're like, "You always keep saying that." I was like, "You are, you are a representation," and I make sure I tell the parents that too when I call them. Your child is a representation of you.
Yeah, and it always blows my mind where, especially coming from Niagara Falls, and you see all the different things that go on, and these parents know that their kids are menaces, but you have a lot of people that, I mean, I guess the whole culture of celebrating people when they get out of jail, and the whole free this person, free that person,
Yeah.
and that whole mindset blows my mind. Like this is what y'all celebrate, but kids that get a promotion on a job, graduate, go to college, there's little noise about that, but y'all worried about
Ray
the
Ray comes
person that get
from
out
president
getting out
12 years
whatever
after the fact
and
and
throwing a
break their
major
necks to
party.
go to the damn block party to
Yeah,
celebrate this.
I
Like
just don't understand that.
well, because I did some research. It's a poverty mindset, and they have high ACEs scores. And I know in the city of Buffalo, it comes from specific zip codes, and that they are living in survival mode, and they
Yeah.
have a high trauma and drama rate, and they don't know how to get out of their own way, even though resources are available to them. But in our community, going to counseling, seeking help is very taboo, unfortunately, so they stay stuck in a poverty mindset.
Yeah.
It's true.
They stay stuck. Hence, i.e., why I'm divorced. Like, I don't live at that address. I've never lived at that address. I may grieve for a minute, for a time frame over something, and then I'm like, okay, it's time to move forward. It's time to still get out of this. This is what you need to do. But you also have to your parents have to instill that type of mindset into you too. And I'm quite sure it's difficult to grow out of that mindset because many people or most people have that mindset of buyer's remorse or survivor's remorse, or they get out the hood. Well, they made it out the hood. Like, okay, but just because they made it out the hood, that mindset is still within.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You know that is, you can take a hoe off the street, but you can't take the street out the hoe, or whatever the case be.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and people don't realize that. Your upbringing, particularly where you come from, you can't outrun it.
No, you
So
can't
the only
outrun,
thing you
but
can
you
do
have
is,
to be willing to dismantle and break generational curses and
yeah,
change and understand that and be okay leaving some people behind because
right.
that's what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
It's gonna be painful, but you're going to have to do that in order to move forward with your life. And I
Mhm.
really feel if you don't make certain changes and adjustments, your life on this earth, I really seriously believe that it will definitely be shortened.
It's true.
And that means even our weight, because I know my weight fluctuates, and I'm like, oh, you look kind of fluffy there, miss. Okay, let me get these extra 3,000 steps in here. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that. Oh, let me walk around Delaware Park. Let me eat some soup this week. I can't cheat on my cheat day. On my cheat day, it's gonna have to be a salad with some chicken on it. You have to really do that internal talk with yourself, and many people are afraid to do that. But listen, let me tell you something. This chick, I want the biggest bang for my buck and the best return on my investment, and I mean that with all sincerity. With all sincerity, I'm really like having a mindset shift, and I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, there's some days I'm afraid of it, but I'm embracing the change. You have to. And I don't know where our community, I know certain things happen to us, like crack and guns and all this other stuff. But now we should be in the understanding that nobody's coming to save us.
And I think a lot of it too is individuality. Like as you get older, you have to think, I'm in this by you know you got support, but eventually your is your job and responsibility to kind of handle things on your own. So it's not a clique or a group of friends like, oh, this ride or die thing, whatever, because at the end of the day, you dying alone. You might have somebody that's going to support you to the end, but to think, oh, I'm willing to do this, I'm willing to do that, I'm gonna ride or die, or my kid go out here and do this, and they do this, I'm going up to the school to fight, whatever, because my kid. And instead of stepping back and saying, wait a minute, shit, they could have been wrong. I'm not about to put myself in harm's way behind something that they did that was wrong and end up getting myself hurt or getting messing in my situation at my job. So sometimes you got to think about just being an individual. And like I need to work through this. Shit, sometimes you got to work through it by yourself, or at least process it through, and then make the steps to move forward.
But
I
I
always
don't
say there's
that's
either problems or issues, and people will say, "Well, what's the difference?" I say, "Problems are things you can work through yourself. Issues are things you need to go seek professional help with."
yeah. Yeah. But I don't think our children even have that mental capacity, to be honest with you. And I'm gonna bring it back to education, because many years ago when my children was in school, they used to do investigations, and it was a system and a tenant where they had to work through certain things or certain subjects, and they really had to work through it. I had to go investigate. What's the essential question? The objective is this. This is the essential question. I do, you do, we do. I have to do this independently. We did it together as a group. The teacher taught it. Now I have to go back to my seat and put those steps and investigate those steps in how all of those things are tied together. Our kids don't have that level of cognitive ability, I don't think. I haven't seen it at all. It's like one's a ringleader and there's five or six of them following behind that one person.
Well, you know what? I'm not even, and I know that's a process because I'm talking about the adults, the parents don't
That too.
have that. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's who I'm speaking on. The ones who feel like, okay, I always got to be a clique or whatever,
yeah.
because kids gonna be kids. They're gonna follow peers, but it's the adults that make those decisions or think that, okay, no matter what, I gotta be associated. That's my home girl or that's my homeboy. Instead of saying, wait a minute, I'm not down with. I don't believe in what y'all doing. I'm not down with that. Don't associate me with that because my career I'm is built like this, so I can't be a part of that. They can't understand those days is over when you're in your teenage years and maybe in your early 20s, but then after a while when you start working and you start getting your first job with insurance and all that stuff, you start trying to wisen up and like, I don't know what y'all doing, but nah, I can't go out on those Sunday night. I don't give a damn how many of y'all going. If I
Right.
roll with six or seven of y'all and six of y'all going, and I'm the only one. Nah, because my job is different. I can't do that. I can't do what y'all do. And you have to be able to establish that. And if they say, well, you don't never want to do nothing, you don't never do that, then two tears in a bucket, fuck it. There we ain't got to be down. It's
Not at all.
simple as that.
Instead of being grateful when you do come around, when you
Yeah.
do have a break or a day off, be like, oh, okay, that is awesome that you're here. We missed you. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's not it's not it's not reciprocate. And I know before I got this new position, it was told to me, "Oh, your circle is really small. You don't really hang with nobody." Uh,
Okay.
no, I don't. I don't. I'm an only kid. I roll dolo solo. It quick, fast, in a hurry.
Yeah, we
And
know
what?
you rolled solo dolo when your little ass was riding over to Canada by yourself.
Listen, quit playing. Quit playing. I will get in my car and my kids will be like, "Where in the heck are you going? Bye. See y'all later." Like but but to see someone in my professional
Yeah.
environment recognize that and say it out loud, people are watching when you think they're not watching. Because I didn't think she was watching.
Yeah.
I didn't think she was. So if she's watching, others are also watching.
Oh
Watching
yeah,
it.
you better believe that.
You moving in silence. You making moves, whatever, and you unbothered by all the added stress that probably they have because they want to have this big huge circle, and all that is drama.
Mhm.
All it is added drama
Well, because
all the
they're afraid
time.
of what it looks like to the public,
Mm.
like for the outside people, instead of doing what is right. Like I told someone, she was like, "I'm sick. I'm da 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 da." I was like, "Because you need to rearrange your life, and you don't want to let go of certain people that you need to let go of." Like, because you're trying to save face for the public, but you're dying on the inside.
Yeah.
Mm. The
Like
FOMO shit.
literally, like literally dying. And I am here to testify. When I'm telling you, I was on pushing 200 pounds, taking Ozempic, Wegovia, metformin, pre-diabetic, high A1C. Guess what? I dropped him and all of that went away. My doctor thought I was joking. I said, "Oh, this ain't about to be the same person in a month."
Yeah.
I went
Mhm.
back to the doctor in a month and all that stuff was gone. And I just went to the doctor again and they were like, "You're okay. You're good." My doctor visit was 10 minutes, not 2 hours. Quit playing. People really have to understand and evaluate what is going on and who is causing the stress in your life. Because I never thought that it would be funny, that it would be fun. Like, they make me sick. How can a person make you sick? I've seen it. I've lived it. I've experienced it. I totally understand. I totally understand how people do make you really sick.
That's powerful because you think about we grew up saying that phrase. You make me
Yes.
sick. You make me sick, and it's and I haven't heard that in a while until you just said it. And it's legit. It's a real thing. You really make you, and it's really making you sick inside and sick mentally.
Yes.
I,
Yes.
I got on my show notes KOS, knowledge of self, and I borrowed that from the Nation of Islam. So pardon me, Nation of Islam, for kind of using that in the perverted sense, but you got to understand yourself.
Yes.
That's nobody else's responsibility. That's your own responsibility to understand yourself. What makes you feel good? What doesn't make you feel good? Um, what gives you angst? Because especially with social media, like I'll go down my timeline and my friends list from time to time, and I'll see their names grayed out.
What does that mean?
Oh, they've deactivated their Facebook profile.
Uh,
A lot of people do that because they say they want to take a break. Take a break from what? Well, I see all this negativity and I see all this and I see all that. I'm like, okay, but do you? A lot of people don't realize, especially with your phone, if you're making purchases, those purchases are tracked. So when, like, I remember buying some Pumas, and all of a sudden, I started seeing Puma advertisements. This advertisement, this advertisement. So I was like, okay, so they're gonna track the purchase. I'm not bothered by excessive Puma advertisements because I buy a sneaker. But what about those people who just click on something, a bad story or something, just to read it, and all of a sudden now you're inundated with news about somebody committing suicide or somebody
yeah.
doing this, or people don't realize that that stuff infiltrates. So if you have people or things that block it, get rid of it completely. Even if you have friends or family members that you want to keep as friends, just take them out your feed. Facebook has it set up to where you can do that, so your algorithms won't keep feeding you that nonsense, and it won't keep infiltrating how you feel. Because a lot of people wake up, phone, oh man, I don't want to hear about such and such. I don't want to hear about this. Fill your newsfeed with good stories. You know, people who are always celebrating, posting good things, humorous. Get more of it in your feed. You will have. I'm seeing it on my phone now, and I see it because I'm using the computer right now to do the show. So I'll use either my phone or laptop or desktop to do it. Set your parameters so it
Yeah.
filters out that BS. So you're not inundated with it day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute. And
But
you'll
don't
see
have that.
that you'll start to feel better.
But some people don't have that wherewithal, to be honest with you. Some people don't. Some people do not have that wherewithal to not like these kids are addicts of their phones.
Oh yeah.
They're addicts. And I'm like, y'all don't see that y'all addicted? Well, Miss, you're addicted to your phone. Well, I can't get into my computer because I have an authentication thing. So I need my phone to get into my computer. The teachers need their cell phones to get into their computer to teach the lesson on the smart board. So there's different uses for adults, but they can't see the difference between what adults do and what they do. And
I'll
that
tell you. Go
lines
ahead.
are
I'm
blurred.
sorry.
No, that's where the lines are blurred.
I will tell you this. Kids always think that they have that one up on adults because you got to do something. I would tell a kid this. I said, you know what? You're right. I'm addicted to it because I have to do this. But I could sit this phone down, walk away, and come back tomorrow. You know what I'm gonna miss?
Nothing.
And that's the hammer because they can't do that. And ask them, you know what? If you had to call somebody important, could you dial that phone? Could you dial a number from memory?
Absolutely
Oh
not.
no, I can't. Do you? And this is what Dave talks about when he says he goes back at him. You have to develop that. And if that's not part of what you are, this kid's gonna eat you alive. You think you a shark, but they the killer whales. And for those of you who don't understand the analogy, look it up.
And it sounds like that's what Daphne has done, established herself as administrator. Like, listen, I'm gonna give it to y'all as well as I can take it, and that's been my whole thing. Oh, you're not gonna just crack slick on me, whatever. I'm gonna come back and hit you on your head and make you walk away and like, damn. And other kids, if they hear, it, they were like, damn, he fucked you up,
Yeah,
whatever. He shut you up because sometimes you got to hit somebody on the head, and I could be King Petty all day long.
Absolutely.
If that's what it has to be for you to understand, but you're not just going to say anything or to me and think you're going to get away with it because that's not how life works.
But then, too, what I've been noticing is that a lot of our children have undiagnosed mental health issues that parents don't want to come to terms with to get help and or medication for. And it's really sad because many of the teachers and the administrators have to deal with these children who are undiagnosed.
Well, the reason why they're undiagnosed is because either one of the parents or some they're,
there you go.
they haven't
There
been
you go.
diagnosed, so they
Yeah,
they're not going to buy into it. So one of them offsprings ain't right, and and there you have it. So it just goes on and on and on.
Yep.
So
yeah.
when you say let's have an
Yeah.
SST uh, meeting about your kid that we've been trying to meet with since the sixth grade, and the parents don't respond, and like, oh, ain't nothing wrong with her. We'll handle it at home. And every day we see all these outbursts and different things and threats, like you said, Daphne, go kill yourself and all that, and the parents is just chilling. Then you say, well, you know what? Let me make a child abuse report. And see if that happens. But even then, that's only effective if they communicate with you. If they're not on page to let you know, okay, this is what we've done. And I know some things they don't let you know, but if I'm the source that's calling it in and you're doing some, keep me on board so we can kind of tag team this approach. A lot of times they don't do anything or they close the
Nope.
case and you like, so you be like, what's the fucking point of even calling? Like,
Hmm.
okay.
That's it. Well, I had a parent was supposed to come in today. Her child came in. Now you know your child wasn't supposed to come in without you.
Oh yeah,
Why
they
is he walking
required.
in the
Yeah.
building quiet as a church mouse?
Hmm.
and because we're getting that SIR packet together because he's in the wrong placement. Right, that part. And then on top of that, that your behind needed to be here at 10:30 for this meeting. I'm talking about, oh, I forgot. But you ain't forget to send your big ass son to school.
Yeah,
Yeah, that part.
yeah, drop them off and say, "Go ahead. I got somewhere to go. I ain't coming in there."
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not gonna work. Nah, wrong person. You got the right one today, the wrong one, but the right day today. Cause I sure did call her. She called me right and called right before school ended. I should have made her ass pick him up. You need to come pick him up.
Yeah.
He got on the bus by himself. He got a one-on-one aide.
Mm.
I told the aide his bus here. He was like, he already walking himself to the bus. Make sure his behind get on the bus.
Mm. Yes. And as you see, like these subjects become powerful, and we just spending it on education.
Yep.
And we we talked about a little bit about the career wise, and we haven't even touched on the relationship goals and things of that nature, that people have deadlines and timelines and expectations. But that's probably for another day.
Well,
That's
well, the thing of it is, how here's my thing. You try to build relationships, but it's like a walk and talk type of building. You really can't really, especially in the field of education, it's always something that's always happening at every given moment or every given second. So it's like, okay, walk and talk with me. Let's see if I can solve the problem by the time I get to the first or basement floor. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You're gonna have
yeah.
to walk and talk because I got something to do, but I really want to talk to you. Just like now, I know I shoo these little girls out of my room, but guess what? I gotta shoo y'all back in because I had to shoo y'all out because I had something to do. So tomorrow morning, yo, we all need to sit down and have a conversation. I cut our conversation short, so now I gotta revisit it.
Well, yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of those relationships is drive by, like some of the things you just stepping out in the hallway, go walk around the corner, and you get barraged with a bunch of stuff, and then you have to like, okay, let me go do this. I'm gonna get back to you, and then you never get to it, and then it's just everything just compound. But I was more thinking about people, adults who have relationship intimacy, deadlines and timelines,
Mm,
or certain things that don't work, or ways that they do work. We haven't even really touched on that, and that's a whole nother probably show.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It baffles me how a lot of people don't see how all this stuff is interrelated. They won't connect the dots. They'll say, well, one thing has nothing to do with the other when they're all
and
inextricably linked.
yeah, they are. They really are.
You pull a string on one, all of a sudden you start to see something move over here. You go back over here and you see something. You say, well, damn, I can't get ahead because I'm always trying to catch up, which is why it becomes important,
Well,
for things and people, more importantly, not just things, but people to work together. So all the issues that may crop up later, you have a plan and a method of attack. So you're minimizing the time you spend dealing with something that doesn't go right. And because people refuse to network, they think, well, I'm not working with this person because this person always thinks this and that. And it's just like you're defeating yourself. Because if I know somebody that knows how to do something, hey, I'm going to knock on the door. How'd you do it? No shame, no stress. I want to know how it's done. So I don't have to spend 3 weeks doing it. I can spend 6 days doing it and move on to the next one.
Yeah.
and even when you think about relationship stuff, like intimacy, and you in the early stages, and you talking to people, and you going through that questioning stage, and you're talking about work history, and they tell you, you know, where do you work at? How long you been there? If someone is in their 50s and all that, and you're asking them about different things, and they don't never have no long history of working somewhere, like shit, that should be a red flag. Like, damn, like I don't know if they consistent. If they're not consistent in their work thing, what else they're not going to be consistent with? Like if they don't have no longevity. And I know some people like to move and bounce around here and there, but when you get a certain age, you should have some type of stability or been at some place. Now, like if you're in the school system, you may be at a different school here and there. It depends. Some people don't like to be at certain schools for a couple years and they're ready to move on to the next. But when they put all their total experiences in the school system and they say, hey, I've been in there for 20 years, that all counts. Maybe they just like to move around, whether they went to elementary, middle, high school. But when you have people that work, different jobs and like, yeah, I've been here for about 9 months. Okay, where were you at before? Here, how long were you there? About a year. Like the fuck, like
Right. Right.
where have you been for a long period of time? Sustained a job for a long period of time. If they can't never give you nothing, then you got to question like, what was the problem? Why do you go from job to job or bounce? And then you'll find out a lot in that.
Yeah, because what I've come to realize, a lot of people don't like to be stationary for too long. I don't know if it has anything to do with a childhood issue or just what it is that makes them feel comfortable. But they say, you know what, I'm out. I've been here, seen this, done that. I need to go somewhere else.
Well, yeah, because in the school district, for me, like David said, I've been in the school district 15 years, and I'm like, yeah. And I know I get bored with the same old routine. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to be an itinerant teacher. I'm gonna go between two schools this year. Okay, now let me stay at one school. I'm tired of doing that. I did that for 2 or 3 years. I'm done being an itinerant. Let me stay here in a high school. Like I went back to high school for less than 6 months and then moved into administration. So everybody's like, well, what are you going to do? I was like, wherever the district plucks me to be, I'm going to be because I have all the credentials to do the job. And they look
Mhm.
at me, they're like, what? I said, I can be an attendance teacher, an ESL teacher, K through 12, adult, associate superintendent, a janitor. What you want?
But at the end of the day, you could say you've been there for 15 years. So,
Yes.
so it's not unless you gave specifics. So I was here, I was there, but you was there for 15 years. That's it's a lot different for somebody who. Oh, I worked here. I worked at AutoZone for 6 months, and then but before that, I was at this job for a year and a half, and then they keep going down the history, and nothing ever is a substantial amount of time. You like, damn, what happened? You bored, or so you might think like, shit. In a relationship, they may say, "Hey, I'm here for a while, but now I'm getting bored with this." Like Herb said, I got to keep it moving. I get bored being
Yeah.
stationary at certain things, so now I got to move on to the next conquest. Like, what do you have longevity in?
And that's what it is. The job, females, males, the next conquest. Because I call them hobosexuals. Like you need you need to hide from the elements. It's snuggle and cuffing season. But as soon as it get warm and hot, you out the
Yeah.
door. You know?
Yeah.
Yep, and that's about to arrive. It's coming up.
Yeah, coming up soon. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yo, what? Nah. And it's like your ears are in tune to certain words and key phrases, and you're like, yeah, nah, you're about to be blocked. Bye. It's like,
There's no
yeah,
time for it. Yeah. Those people that behave like that, they tend to take away more so than they add. I was watching a clip today, and somebody dudes called a female a pretty parasite. I fell the fuck out. But that's a lot of what it is. You got people that are just parasitic in their nature, and they don't
And
realize it, and then they wonder why they find themselves by themselves.
pretty much parasitic. I never heard of that before. I like that.
I was, he said, either he said it or I read it. I said, "Yo, that's funny." I had never heard it, but I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, it's got to come be one of the euphemisms."
Yeah, I like that. I'm very parasitic.
Mm.
And it probably went over her head because she probably didn't know what it was.
I was like, "Yeah, that's funny as hell."
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I'm just, I don't know. It's just certain key phrases and things that you pick up on. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm older, because of my experience. I don't know. My ears perk up and I'm like, block. It instantly goes to block. Like I just can't, and I'm not. And it's sad that our kids go through the same similar foolishness. And it's like, yo, what are y'all doing? That doesn't even make sense.
And I think for me, that's one of the things that keep me going working at a school when I have those regular just conversations about life with students, and they sitting to me telling me that stuff, and I'm like grinning and laughing. They're like, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Because this is it's hilarious. Like I can't stop. Like some of the stuff that y'all say
Yeah,
is like."
because they are dead
Yeah,
serious.
like y'all shouldn't be worried about this. You shouldn't be thinking about this. I said, but that just let me know that if you decide to connect all this with your schooling, whatever, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. You sharp, you articulate, you know how to express yourself. You just gotta do that in the classwork. And this classwork ain't designed to be hard. Shit, if
No,
you
Right.
because
do all your
you
work in
get
the
you
classroom,
can touch it. They
you
give
you
you the
pass.
answers.
Yeah, you pass. You do all your work in the classroom, and you tell your friends, "Shut the fuck up! I'm doing my work."
Yeah.
Uh, you'll walk away. They ain't got to worry about no homework because most of the homework is stuff you didn't complete in class. But unless a teacher says you are assigned this, because that's where we grew up in that era, like you assign all the odd numbers in math.
Right.
Then the next day you assign the even numbers, or you got to read these pages 1 3 5. They don't do that anymore. Uh, so if you don't mention it, these kids are like, I ain't got nothing. Well, you see that you got a D, but you got all these missing assignments. So school with you.
Go get him. Yeah.
What do
I
you
was
think?
gonna make that up.
Connect the dots.
Yeah. So they don't understand that. So it's a major disconnect. But I always say in education, part of the problem is the professional developments that they get. It's the same shit over and over, over and
Well,
over and over. And they don't want to
when
deal
I
with really's
suggested,
going on.
well, I suggested that the kids go to professional development along with the parents. Nobody has listened. I've been saying this for 15 years. Why am I still sitting in restorative justice 10 years after the fact? Did anything change? Absolutely not. The parents need to be up in here. The kids need to be up in here. Why am I up in here every year
And that's why
doing the
we
same
talk about the
thing?
wraparound services. Yep. Exactly.
Like the
Yeah.
parents need to be up in here. The kids need to be up in here.
Yeah, and I've been beating my brain thinking about who was I talking to about that. Um, that said once you retire after a couple of years, you die, and then once you said the wraparound service, I just had a conversation with a teacher the other week, and I said, "Shit, they need to stop calling these places schools." I said,
Yeah.
"These are not schools no more. They're more like institutions and agencies." I
They,
said, "When they changed that lingo," and she was like, "Wow, you right, Glover, you right. They should be wraparound services." I said, "That's how they need to design schools." I said, "If I had the money like LeBron James and Jalen Rose and all them, and I open up a academy, you have everybody up in there, MBA, DMV, social services, a residential hall at the end with beds for homeless people, you residential aids for afternoon shifts. You have all that stuff all
no,
in one building,
yeah,
and
because
you'll see how everything flow."
because I found out many of my students are homeless. They call them McKinney Vento
McKinney
here in New
Vento
York
Act,
State,
yeah. McKinney Vento Act, yeah.
and they are homeless. So I'm like, how are you homeless in Tonawanda and going to Buffalo Public Schools? You need to be in Tonawanda. If you homeless in Tonawanda, you go to school in Tonawanda.
You ain't
Well,
seen the half of it.
well, because if you McKinney Vento, unless it's even that's a long, the travel to that thing, so they probably should find a closer school, but
Right.
they always have an origin of school that if they were already going to that school, districts will pay for them cabs and Ubers and all that to get there, and then eventually they'll say, maybe next you could, they may say you can finish out the year here, but next year you need to
Well, this
go to
kid's
your
been
zone school.
Mexico for 3 years and going to the same damn school. You need to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. And I guess that's the way of the school tracking, like their attendance, they're always late. This ain't working, and then that's when you could put in kind of like a rebuttal, like this. They need to go to a closer school, but you have to kind of track that and be on top of that. But yeah, that
I'm
McKinney
tracking that
Vento thing
tomorrow
is
because I
crazy,
got one that need to go.
especially if they're late and their attendance is off. Then, because I guess essentially it's going to hurt your numbers, which a lot of people, admin and stuff, go by. So it's a lot. People don't understand it. It's a lot. They think it's just going to school, getting your, as my grandparents said, getting your grades. But it's so much more socially that, like I always say, school should be 50% social, 50% academics. And I'm
Yeah.
going to keep on going on with that
Yeah.
because you still got to step into this world and be social. You could be a damn genius, but if you ain't got no social skills, shit, it's all for nothing.
Right. That's a
Absolutely.
lot of what these kids like nowadays. They like to, they think expressing themselves is just saying something and being mean or whatever the case with it. And they don't realize that there's a way you can do it and not be perceived as a malcontent, and people will accept you more. And then there's just a way you can be a brute about it. And people don't realize that being a brute, especially for us, doesn't work.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna bid you guys good night. Good
All
night.
right, we
Good night.
definitely appreciate you coming
Yes,
on,
Yes.
bringing your wealth and knowledge, and congratulations. When you just nominated for Administrator of the Year,
Yes, I
congratulations.
just got
to
there
that.
5 weeks ago. Like, what the heck?
Congratulations to that. You keep
Thank
Go
snowing.
shine.
And when you become a associate superintendent, you say, "Hey, David, you want to do some consulting work? Look me up,
Absolutely.
whatever. Look me up. I might come to that. But other than that, you ain't gonna catch me in no damn building on a regular basis."
Heck no. Heck no. We can collaborate on that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, then. I'll talk
All
to you
right, be
guys
You
later.
safe.
take care.
Appreciate you.
Thank you
All
for
right.
joining
Bye-bye.
us.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, so it's always good to have someone who's been through the struggle and can understand timelines and deadlines and went through certain circumstances. And that's what it's all about. But a lot of times we don't, either you don't put that emphasis because we think time is forever.
Yeah.
And when you get a certain time, and we already know that, even as a youngster, you have to understand the importance of timelines and deadlines. When you got basic bills, shit, car insurance, they don't play about that. If you ain't paying it, your insurance gonna lapse.
That's
You
it.
get pulled over, you're in deeper trouble. License may get revoked and all that stuff. So everybody has to understand timelines and deadlines. And how you originally learn that is at your younger age is through homework and assignments that you have to turn stuff in. And then if you're a teacher, administrator, counselor, you have to try to connect the dots and let them know this is your paycheck right now. No,
Right.
you're not getting paid, but your grades is your paychecks. And sometimes you have parents that'll say, "Hey, you get an A, that's $10. You get a B, that's 5, a C, or whatever, to give you an incentive." And a
Yeah.
lot of kids are motivated by incentives. So you have to know as a parent what drives my kid. What drives my kid? If I know if I throw a little money value, a little money, some monetary reward that they're gonna exceed, then you may have a girl say, "I just want to get my hair done. If I could do this, could I get these braids or whatever?" You say, "Well, you bring me all A's and B's. You only can have one C." Then they may say, "Well, that's what I'm working towards," and they may
Right.
block everything out because that's what they want to get. And you have to set different standards or parameters that kind of get the most. And again, even as adults, we have to set time frames. I often talk about with when I wrote Cocktail Conversations. Treat it like it was a pregnancy, like uh, what's the trimesters. At this
Mhm.
certain point, I wanted to be here. This certain point, I wanted to be here, and I wanted to be done by this time, and it worked. And it worked. Now, as I keep saying about retirement and all that stuff, as you heard Doctor Daphne, Doctor Blue say, she's given herself 2 more years to be in the school building. Then she wants to be associate superintendent. Uh, and I believe she's going to do it. From far as me knowing her and her plight in education, she's been pushing forward. She came a long way, went through a lot to get to where she's at. So I already know that she's gonna make it to that associate superintendent position. And for me, once I did my internship as an admin to be assistant principal, and I realized the politics in that, and I was a regular counselor and I became a department chair of counseling. I said, there really is nowhere else I want to go. I don't want to be the head of counseling in the district. So I became an author. I did broadcast or podcaster and all that stuff. I developed other leadership avenues. And it's always funny when you just put your name in the chat GBT, if that's what it's called,
Yeah.
and see what they say. And it's funny that when I put my name in there, and it was like, oh yeah, like sometimes he live stream and he does things with other characters or personality. It's the big bad wolf. So it's always interesting to see what your social media, your blueprint is, and people got to understand also your blueprint. And I had made a post last week saying, as an adult who got grown kids and grandkids, be mindful of the things that you put out there because you don't know how that's going to impact your children and definitely your grandkids. You don't want them to face ridicule because your ass is 50 something, you twerking, and some is strolling through like, oh, look at, you know who grandmother this is?
Mhm.
Who? Daquan's. That's her twerking. Oh, so when they go back to school, man, your grandmother, man, shut your ass up with your whole ass grandmother.
Yeah, and that's
Uh,
how all that stuff starts. Yep.
yeah, and they like, what you talking about? Look at, and then they screenshot. They didn't save the right here. This is grandmother, and now they mad. Don't talk about my mother. Don't talk about my grandmother. And because your ass is 50 something, you out there cutting a fool with your social media blueprint that now you done got your grandkids over there defending you when simply you should
Fighting
have
and all
said,
this nonsense.
I'm too old for that to be doing that. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't care. Y'all like the likes and views. Like, oh, I got a 1.5 views on this. Yeah, that's just 1.5 more. That's just more ammunition for the next person.
Yeah, pretty much. I tell people, man, the moment you realize some things is the moment you actually start to do better. And some people say, well, why don't people start? And it's as simple as this. Some people were never told. And if you were never told something, you were never shown something, you don't know any better. So you think it's normal until you get to some place where you start to do something and people look at you and you realize it's not normal. We see it all the time. I'm gonna catch some flack for this. I don't give a fuck. All these sisters walking around with bonnets on their head, talking about it keeps your head. No, that shit don't do anything for your goddamn hair. You know what it does? Proper hygiene. Getting somebody to grease your scalp, whether you want to use a hot comb or not, that's your business. But we used to talk about this with the Sunday tradition. That's what mothers did with the daughters. Sit down and grease the scalp. So every sister that has long hair doesn't have a relaxer. She's actually took the time, wash her hair, due diligence, condition it, like running around doing all this nonsense, and she takes care of it. It don't make no sense for a man. Hell, you give me 2 or 3 months, I can grow my hair out 2 or 3 inches now. It's gonna look crazy because of my receding hairline, but if I can do it, then why can't black women do it? You don't think about it. You see a White House correspondence dinner. You see all the black women in there. None of them wearing any bonnets. Why? Because they know that shit will be frowned upon. But this is the type of attitude that a lot of people want to bring with them. They want to bring that attitude and thinking people have to be accepting of it. No, no, they don't. You're in the wrong place. You're a misfit. Go get some decorum. Go take some etiquette classes. Come back when you get your behavior and your class skills up. Other than that, don't nobody owe you a damn thing. And those are one of the deadlines that people need to get up with in earnest, because this world is about to go through a sea change. And if you ain't ready, that movie Demolition Man is closer than you think. You're gonna be upside and you're gonna be below.
Yeah. And all of that, and that's a part of when you get older and you think about relocating and all that stuff. Like Herb said, don't matter where you're going, you're still gonna be who you are. So
Mhm.
you can relocate and do this all up the ass. All that means is you're starting over. You got timelines, you got deadlines, you got lack of time. You got to go somewhere else that you can't take phone calls. You can't be on your cell phone. You're starting all over and you're starting fresh. Some people, you're not wired for that to go somewhere and start fresh. So, in certain cases, you may be better off where you at, uh, and make the most of that. It's so many things again to think about. A lot of times we put stuff out here for you to think deeper and for you to say, I guess I never thought about it like that, or I never looked at it like that. We all on a timeline. We all got deadlines. And we all got the one deadline uh as a collective, that life, and then there's death. It is what you do in between, or
Mhm.
what you do. And once you start getting a certain age, you say to yourself, man, I had to change this up. Something got to give. Or again, you may just not see yourself doing certain things. And if you still feel that you're young enough to take on something else, and you still feel like, okay, I got money, I'm gonna have money coming in from there, but that ain't, oh, they trying to lowball me on this end. But if I go out and do this, I still could bring all them incomes together. Depends on what you do for yourself. But the bottom line is respect timelines, respect deadlines, but it's all about your mental capacity, how you handle it, because it's going to be stress, it's going to be anxiety, and all that stuff, and that downplays. Then that's becomes a mental thing, but then it becomes a physical thing when it takes too much toll on you, and you can't make these deadlines or these expectations, and then you will, as Daphne, as Dr. Blue, Dr. Daphne say, you look at the next person, you make me sick. Yeah, they've made you sick, and you help make yourself sick because it's some of the things that you went through, instead of respecting those timelines and deadlines and making sure you kind of on top of things. Big Bad Wolf, anything you want to close out about this serious subject matter that is ongoing, and every day is a timeline and a deadline?
No, man, I think for what I had, I think we did a hell of a job because um just a couple things. I mean, there are things that are always going to be ever present in anybody's life. So you're always going to have somebody die. You might always have somebody get married. those are things that are pretty much a constant. So you can't really minimize your exposure to those. But you know, the news cycle you can minimize your exposure to. So if you don't like the fact that what Trump is doing in terms of bombing this place or potential to go to war in the Middle East, just filter that out of your life. I'm not saying eliminate it completely because I think that doesn't really help you because now you turn into a person that doesn't know what's going on. And I'm not saying you have to be averse in geopolitics, but it helps to know a little something. So when and if you do go to the polling booths, you know what you're doing. But a lot of that stuff you can filter out, man. Filter out the stuff that you can. Don't make yourself a prisoner to your phone just because you want to be on social media. Use the tools that are available and curtail the bad experiences, the bad energy that you get. That way you can enjoy social media like you're supposed to.
All right. So again, good people. We always have things. It's all about how you handle and respond to things. And if you're someone that lets stress beat you down, then you need to find different coping mechanisms to be able to um, exceed those things or be able to kind of fight it off to your best abilities to move forward. But for the rest of our lives, we always gonna have timelines and deadlines, and we're gonna have personal achievements that we want to accomplish. But you got to put a plan in action. He who fails to plan plans to fail. The old saying. So just be mindful of that. And with that said, it's another week to accomplish things, and everybody again have deadlines and timelines that we have to accomplish on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis, month-to-month basis. It's never ending. So it's just how you put yourself in a position to accomplish all those. So with that said, we out. On to the next one. See y'all next time. Everybody be safe and stay well. We
Young
out.
world, young world, young world.